Hey guys, I am in Botanic Gardens now. I brought like a picnic mat. It's a Monday. I have a scone here. Everybody is probably gonna think I'm crazy. Today, this video is going to be about my favorite fairy tale story ever. I read it 5 years ago. So this is Victorian fairy tales. This is a book that I got when I was doing my H3 literature thesis. All the fairy tales that I wanted to write about were in this book, but the one that truly captured my heart was George MacDonald's The Day Boy and the Night Girl. So today I'm going to share 3 reasons why I love this fairy tale so much. Oh, there's like a pigeon coming up behind me. Can you hear it? It's just like walking like 大胆。把它先给我压下去。是，皇上，皇上。大胆包天。Okay, so the first reason is prose. Now everyone has their preferred style of writing. I have friends who love, for example, Murakami's style of very surrealist, very melancholic, very kind of writing. Yeah, but for me, my preferences really depend on the genre and the intent. So for example, if something is set in the real world, I would expect like a degree of realism to it. Because I can't suspend my disbelief, you know, like when it's like he felt the despair pierce his chest like a thorn. Like I mean, like I can't really believe that because like this is not how I feel people in real life would react. But for fantasy, specifically fairy tales, it's like the genre itself demands description. Ooh, this just fell down. Should I stick it in my ear? Oh. Every word, every page becomes an opportunity for world building. Like you owe it to the reader to be extra descriptive because it's a world that no one has ever seen before. So when it comes like to the use of metaphors or diction, you can be as creative and as uncommon as you wish, and it will only serve to elevate the story. So for example, she had venison and fatted game to eat, milk and pale sunny sparkling wine to drink. She had hair of the yellow gold, waved and rippled. Her skin was fair, not white like Watho's, and her eyes were blue of the heavens when bluest. Pale sunny sparkling wine. How beautiful is that? Even I want to drink it and I'm not a wine person. There's just like a sort of sumptuousness to it that keeps me reading. Like it makes me feel like it's delectable. Every time I read it, the imagery, the diction, the storytelling just captures me again. It's fantastic. But the second reason why The Day Boy and the Night Girl is my favorite fairy tale story is due to the familiarity and distancing that the story does. There are a number of things that we expect when it comes to fairy tales, correct? Some authors have written about how all fairy tales and folk tales follow a certain progression or formula. The Day Boy and the Night Girl may look like your quintessential fairy tale story because it has the expected backstory. We have the villain, we have a castle and a king, the witch and a boy, and a conquest to be made. But in execution, it is anything but typical. The magic is in the execution, guys. Please remember this. That's what distinguishes the Lord of the Rings and like a Lord of the Rings wannabe like Aragorn. George MacDonald has this way of putting nuance into a tried and true formula so that everything feels fresh and original. God, the sun is just coming in on me, guys. The most obvious example of this would be the characters Photogen and Nycteris. Photogen is like your stereotypical over-masculine hero, but in this story you can feel like the author is consciously aware of this and writes him more bumbling and like inept than most people would be comfortable with. While by all appearances Photogen is like the hero of this story, Nycteris is the one who steals all the true action, who displays greater bravery and heroism in contrast to Photogen. So the passage I want to read to you guys. This is the first meeting between Photogen and Nycteris. They meet during nighttime and Photogen is like totally paralyzed because he is a creature of the sun. "Come, come, dear," said Nycteris. "You must not go on this way. You must be a brave girl and..." "A girl!" shouted Photogen and started to his feet in wrath. "If you were a man, I should kill you." "A man?" repeated Nycteris. "What is that? How could I be that? We are both girls, are we not?" "No, I am not a girl," he answered. "Although," he added, changing his tone and casting himself on the ground at her feet, "I have given you too good reason to call me one." "Oh, I see," returned Nycteris. "No, of course, you can't be a girl. Girls are not afraid without reason. I understand now. It is because you are not a girl that you are so afraid." This is freaking classic, man. Like, I love that. He kind of tries to override Nycteris with his knowledge, but her common sense and logic eventually wins over his. And that's because Photogen's knowledge comes from that of a constructed world, that of Watho's world, while Nycteris' knowledge is inductive and soul-searching because since young, no one taught her anything. The third and the last reason, but not the last reason in my heart because I could write 60 essays about this, okay, is character relationships. I know I just talked about the characters, but that was individually, and in truth, when most people talk about story characters, they tend to talk about the characters in isolation. Why I love the day boy and the night girl so much is because it's literally premised on the notion of interrelationship, like the complementation and dynamic between people. So you can't really say much about these characters in isolation. Their meaning is kind of born out of interaction with one another. The very title itself is about the contrast of light and dark, seemingly one world and another, but in fact non-existent without each other. This kind of dynamic is literally tied into their being, where one literally lives and dies by the sun and vice versa. And at the end of the day, right, there is only the utmost respect for one another, which is basically, to me, about as romantic as it gets. My favorite line comes near the end, where it says, "And there they lived, and taught each other for many years that were not long. But hardly had one of them passed before Nycteris had come to love the day best, because it was the clothing and crown of Photogen, and she saw that the day was greater than the night, and the sun more lordly than the moon. And Photogen had come to love the night best, because it was the mother and home of Nycteris." Winner. So that basically wraps up 3 reasons why I love George MacDonald's The Day Boy and the Night Girl, and hopefully you guys enjoyed it as much as I did. If you haven't read the story before, I highly recommend it. This is my favorite fairy tale of all time, and for very good reason. So yeah, read it with a cup of hot chocolate on a rainy afternoon. That's all from me, guys. I hope that this could be made into a video. You know, I might find that this is like crap and like not make it into a video, but bye, guys. Oh my god, there's like a swan coming over. I don't want to move the camera, but there's a swan, like a black swan with like a red mouth. I know. I don't know. It's very like, can you not? Go away, ants, go away, go away! Oh my god, oh my god. The swan just like, boom. Like, is no one else like freaked out by the swan? I'm freaked out, man. It's like a mini celebrity, man. Look at that. Kidding me? I just don't like nature. I like it as much as like an elephant on my hip. I don't like nature.
blue, dilly dilly, lavender's green. When you are king, dilly dilly, I'll be your queen. Who told you so, dilly dilly, who told you so? 'Twas my own heart, dilly dilly, that told me so. Thanks for watching, guys. Bye bye.